Good morning. Here's your twin shot for the day. Say hi, Avery. Hi. Hi, Tanya. We have chalk today. Hi, Elizabeth. This is Ashlyn. Say hi, Ashlyn. Ashlyn. Nope, she's interested in her chalk, which is also all over my pants. Hi, Michelle. They're playing with chalk today. They can't have crayons anymore. They can't have crayons anymore because, can you see the wall over there? They got a little happy with the crayons, so they're limited to chalk now. Sidewalk chalk. Whatever they get chalk on can just be, it could just be wiped off. It's all over my pants. They've been marking on my pants today. They've been marking on the carpet. It doesn't really matter. It comes off easier than crayons. We do have to buy a couple of gallons of paint, though, to take care of that over my shoulder. That goes all the way the length of the wall. So no more crayons. They gotta get older. You're twin and you have a twin. Are you a twin? Oh, hold on, let me turn these notifications off. It is it's been, oh, you are? That's cool. These guys are fraternal twins, so, and they're gonna be 2 on the 28th, so their birthday's just a couple weeks away. We made it through the first 2 years. Oh, are you? That's really cool. I love it. We have a good friend of mine has twins, so we rely on her a lot for, like, this is going to get easier, right? It's going to get a little easier to handle, right? And it is. It's getting easier as they get older. Look how cute. They're playing on their fake keyboards, or their old keyboards. Are you typing? Are you sending an email? Say hello. Hello. They're in good moods today because, so Ashlyn will not take her shoes off. She wants to sleep in them. And then the minute she wakes up, she gets her shoes on and she wants to go right outside. Then she gets overly hungry, but she won't eat before she goes outside. Today, and then she gets super hungry, so today she's already eaten like 2 of these. They're not cookies, they're like breakfast bars. They probably might as well be cookies for all the sugar. And a whole can of Progresso vegetable soup. That's weird. They're not biologically, but it's ironic because, I mean, it's weird because they're donors, but Ashlyn looks just like Morgan, and they're not biologically connected. Morgan's my daughter. But it's really weird. So when people see us all out together, they think that they're Morgans. It's a paradox. Paradoxes. Yeah, Ashlyn looks like Morgan, and Avery looks just like Sarah. And Sarah carried them. And, of course, Morgan has no biological material in the mix, and Ashlyn looks exactly like Morgan. It's so weird. It's cool how it turned out. They each got a baby that looks like them. How did that happen? So let's read. Let's read some Dow while they're entertained back there behind me. I probably should sit where you can see them too. Well, there's no way to get them in the picture. Well, let's read about the Dow. Nothing in the world is as soft, as weak as water. Nothing else can wear away the hard, the strong, and remain unaltered. That's true, right? Water is one of the most destructive forces on the planet, but it doesn't change itself, but it can wear away the hardest substance. Soft overcomes hard, weak overcomes strong. Everybody knows it. Nobody uses the knowledge. So the wise say, by bearing common defilements, you become a sacrificer at the altar of the earth. By bearing common evils, you become a lord of the world. Right words sound wrong. In the notes, in a different translation, which we'll read here in just a second, the right words sound wrong, and in the notes it says, to the mind that isn't awake yet. The truth sounds wrong. It doesn't make sense. When I know that when I read these earlier in life at like 16, not this particular book, but when I was reading a lot of spiritual texts when I was a teenager, I didn't understand them at all. I think intuitively I knew there was something there for me because I kept reading them, but it took a long time before it started to actually make sense to me. And that's why we're going to go through this Tao study again, because it's simple and complex, and it's taking a while for it to sink in. But the message I continually get from this study is that of water. When we are going through life flowing as water, that's the do without doing. Things just get done. We're not changing the nature of who we are. We are just flowing through. When we encounter obstacles, we just go around them or through them. It's very soft, it's very gentle, and yet it's much more strong than the jackhammer approach to life. We've all done that, right? The jackhammer lifestyle. It doesn't work. It just breaks everything in its path, and it leaves a big mess behind. Water is much better. And with teenagers, I really got to master that. And then with my husband, I got to work on that. Because the best thing I can do to shift my husband's mind on a subject is just to drop a little seed, drop on the rock, wait a little while, drop another little seed. Over time, he thinks it's his idea, and I get my way. Same thing with teenagers. The soft approach with teenagers is way better than the hammer. The hammer ends up making things so much worse. When you try to hammer down on a teenager, it's really the best way to do it. So it's the thing of, do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? If you're trying to be right, it's almost never going to work. Do what's effective. If the soft approach is effective and ends you up where you want to be, then do that. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's a lot less energy, but you have to give up the need to be right. So if we have a need to prove a point, or if we have a need to be right, then we'll continue fighting to the death. And ultimately, we're exhausted and we don't get what we want. The jackhammer, smashes the rock, leaves a big giant mess behind. The water dissolves the rock and there's no mess behind. It might take a little longer, but it's way more effective. Same thing with teenagers. You're just seed planting. When I was teaching kids and working with kids, you're just seed planting. So when you get out of here, you're just going to go right back to using pot or meth or whatever they were into. Yeah, I am. I'm like, okay, so will you let me know if it works for you better this next round than it did, because it's how you got here? So, can we talk about that? Like, what was it? It's how you got here, and then you're going to leave, you're going to do it again. So I would like you to let me know how it's going to be different for you, just out of curiosity. And you can't have any kind of tone. But it gets them thinking. It's better than saying, if you get out of here, dumbass, and go straight back to what you were doing, you're going to end up right back here. That gets you nowhere. They can't hear that. So you just say, well, let me know how it goes, because I'm curious what your plan is. And they're like, oh, maybe it won't work. Oh my God, if you have even a hint of a tone, you're screwed. They won't listen. So, so when this section where it says, the wise say, by bearing common defilements, by bearing common evils, you become Lord of the world. It's a pick your battles, is how I read that paragraph. Pick your battles. If it's not worth fighting over, Because he's your introvert kid, right? So he's going to know your hidden agenda. Can someone tell me what chia seeds actually are? Excuse me for like rolling my mouth around a lot. I ate some stuff with chia seeds in it, and they like are reproducing in my mouth. So I'm like, I know I swallowed those chia seeds, and I still have more. Good morning. Good morning, Nina. And what are they exactly? Where do they come from? Are they chia pet poop? Like, where are chia seeds from? I'm gonna quit eating them. They're gross. Let's read this one. And they just won't go away. Why are they still here? I've swallowed like 1,000 times. I've still got chia seeds. Yuck. Okay, so 78 in the Stephen Mitchell book. Nothing in the world is soft as yielding as water. Yet, for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it. The soft overcomes the hard, the gentle overcomes the rigid. Everyone knows this is true, but few can put it into practice. That's because we want to be right. You want it quick, and you want to be right, and you want it your way, and you want it right now, so you're not willing to take the time to take the soft approach. Therefore, the master remains serene in the midst of sorrow. Evil cannot enter his heart, Because he has given up helping, he is people's greatest help. And true words seem paradoxical. So I want to read you his notes. You know, we're at the end of this book, and I just the other day figured out that every chapter has notes back here. I don't know why I missed that whole thing. It might have been helpful. He is of people's greatest help. So the greatest help is wholeheartedly trusting people to resolve their own problems. I was like, hey, look at that. Ugh. A true philanthropist, like a good parent, brings people to the point where they can help themselves. Look here. Well, wasn't that clever of him to put a whole index full of notes? True words seem paradoxical only when the mind is cluttered. I know. That sneaky bastard. Tricky. Could have put a sign up front that there were notes in the back. The greatest help is to help people help themselves. Although it's a trick. So you're like, oh great, now I have to read the whole thing over again, because now I have some clarifying notes. Yeah, we could blame Tanya. Tanya, I don't think she has this version. She forgot. Oops. Yeah. So this is what you just thought mine didn't have them. No, this was operator ignorance. This was operator error. Tanya deliberately didn't tell us, so we'd have to read it again. You've got, even though it is incredibly annoying when you tell someone close to you an idea or a concept or some unsolicited advice repeatedly, and then they don't listen to you, and 6 months later they come rushing in the house and grab you, and they're like, oh my God, you're never gonna believe what Bob said at work. And then they tell you the exact same thing you've been saying. Even though that's super, super annoying, just let it go, because it ends you up where you wanted to be. Okay, objective accomplished. Just like we've talked numerous times on here about how the same kind of theme will run in waves. Oh, you do? I know. It's just like, you know, whatever. Just let it go. At least it got in there, okay? So the information is there, and the change can occur now. But we've talked a lot about how on Periscope, topic matters kind of go in waves, and it's hard to tell who starts it. But all of a sudden, 15 scopers will be talking about the same thing within 2 or 3 days of each other, sometimes 2 or 3 hours of each other. And we've talked about how in the beginning, you're like, I was just talking about that, thief. But then you get to the point where it's like, well, it's the message, not the messenger. It really doesn't matter who's delivering it. It's getting out there, and that's the important thing. And I do believe Elizabeth Gilbert's concept that, and we've seen it play out in science all the time, right? People on the other side of the world are all working on the same concepts at the same time. It's just who gets published faster or who has a better marketing team, right? The same ideas come out of Tesla and Edison. Maybe Edison had better marketers. Maybe Tesla was an asshole. I don't know. Some reason or another, they were working on the same concepts. Edison's ideas stuck and Tesla's were buried. Who knows why that happens? But it's the same thing. That's the water approach. It comes in globally, and whoever's open to the creative impulse and willing to follow it. You know, there were many of Darwin's contemporaries who were writing theories of evolution all at the same time. Darwin got published first. And probably, you know, it's a lot of who's easier to get along with. Sometimes scientific people are kind of jerks. We don't really know. The point is staying open to that creativity and following it. And then not worrying about taking the water approach, taking the long-term view, and dropping your information and think of it as planting seeds, because it really is like that. It's the same with ourselves. Okay, we read these books, we talk about these concepts. I've been listening to the Abraham Hicks material since 1998. I saw them at the Unity Church in Fort Collins in like the year 2000. And she's always talking about, and all the teachers are talking about, shifting your internal so that your external changes, right? We talk about it all the time. And for some reason, that did not click to a deeper level until this week. Now, don't let that depress you. You might be smarter than me. Or you might not have such a concrete blockhead. It might go faster for you. But it took me all this time, 16 years, to go, oh, it's in here, dummy. It's in here. So I don't ask, how can it change, and then look out here and watch for the change. I say, how can it change? And I look in here. I focus my attention in, where can I sense my own energy, and where can I sense my own blockages, the same way I do for other people. A lot of my coaching is feeling other people's congestion or pain. Exactly. I feel, when I'm working with someone, I feel their energy congestion or their physical pain or their mental block or whatever. I feel it in my own body. So that's how I know where it's at. Yes. Oh, thank you, Michelle. I feel it. I know where it's at. Sometimes it takes us a while to get the shared awareness of where it's at. Thank you. Yeah, you can find out about coaching and enhanced Reiki and stuff like that. On that website, there's tabs at the top. And then as we work through the story, the minute it's resolved, I don't feel it in my body anymore. And I can feel it shifting if we're making progress in my own body. But I never applied that to myself until this last week when I listened to that recording, like the last 20 minutes of Jody England's recording, and it clicked. I've got to look inside for my energy congestion. I've got to start looking into my own physical pain, using it for information the same way I use a client's physical pain as information. You see, so like when I'm working with someone, my body's like a radio transmitter. Yes, she's great. Elizabeth Purvis, Google her. Their their body is speaking to my body, and I can talk it back to them, and we can work together till they get the awareness. Yes, Tanya, it's so much easier with other people. I'm working on generating a quick manifestation way to go to her magic school to learn how to do that more for myself and at a greater level for other people. Hi, Angela. But if you're doing that still, like I was, making internal changes and then looking around outside like, where's it going to come from? I need $8,000. Where's it going to come from? Could it be coming from here? Could it be coming from there? Instead of just saying, where can my energy shift? Where can my heart open more? Where can my connection to my head and my heart be expanded? And the temptation is to look outside and find a job or generate more clients, when really I need to keep all my energy looking inside and focusing on where can I expand, where can I soften the hard spots, where can I feel for contractions or congested energy. When someone has congested energy around a subject, it feels like congestion, just like a solid mass of tangled up energy. Sometimes to me it looks like the image I'll get in my head is like a tangled up ball of yarn, and it feels thick. It's very hard to explain these things, really. I don't really understand them myself. But a lot of the work is putting light into that tangled up ball of yarn, congested energy stuff, and watching it sort of untangle itself. That's where my work is. Not, I need to go find an extra job, or I need to figure out what I can sell. And maybe I can't get it done in time to make it into the school this round, because it's pretty close. It's only a couple weeks. But maybe I can. Opening up to the possibilities of looking for my own energy blocks. Anyway, I don't know if this is making sense to you or not, but it's a pretty big revelation for me this week, and I might need to work on how best to share that with others, and try and encourage you to do the same. Like, assess yourself and see if, when you're using oils, when you're using affirmations and stuff, are you still looking for the evidence of change out there? Yeah, you never know. I mean, you really don't. I firmly believe that when I shift it, it will show up. But I just didn't realize until this week that I was still looking externally for evidence of change, rather than feeling into my body for evidence of change. I also became aware and contemplating all these things this week, and this concept of water. Oh, that's awesome, Angela. We were just talking about that too, how ideas hit everybody at once. This concept of water is always in my mind. I use that metaphor a lot. And I like Tai Chi and Aikido over karate and Taekwondo. Yeah, looking within. Because force meeting force doesn't work for me. The kind of martial arts that go through and around fit my personality a whole lot better. So in scanning my own self the same way I would scan a client, again, taking skills that I use in one area of my life really well and transferring, generalizing them over to myself, which is what I tell other people to do all the time. If you can do it in this area, you can do it in that area. Well, if I can do it with other people, I should be able to flip that back on myself, even though it is difficult. It's way more difficult to sense your own blocks. But I believe it can be done with some concentrated effort. Missing a toddler. Oh, she's watching TV. Crap, I forgot what I was saying. I had a point. I blame the chia seeds, which are still there. What was I saying? Oh yeah, turning it back on myself. Oh, I remember. As I was doing that this week, turning it back on myself. Yes, thank you, Tanya. I became aware of how disconnected I am from the lower half of my body. If you I'm no expert in chakras or whatever you want to call them, however you want to say it, doesn't matter. Energy centers of the body. I'm not an expert in that. Like, I know it, but I don't know their names. I don't know their mantras. I know their colors. I've done lots of chakra meditations. The first teacher I learned from, beside my mom, was Joanne, and my mom dragged me to see her, and I hated every minute of it. But she taught a lot of chakra stuff. And because I wasn't paying attention, I don't remember a whole lot of it. But, I just became aware that I'm not connected to the lower half of my body. I spend a lot of time up here and up here. When I'm working with someone and I'm sensing their blocks and it's coming into my body, it's coming from it feels like it's coming from up above my head, and I can just feel it here or in my stomach or wherever their thing is. But I wasn't connected internally to my body, and I tried to remember the last time that I was. And I've had a couple of surgeries, and I don't know if that's where a big disconnect came from, but that's something to consider too. Like, can you get an awareness of your lower body? If you figure that the red and the orange and the yellow chakras are highly connected to physical, manifesting physical objects, or, cash to go to schools on, or cash to neuter cats on, which, by the way, we got his whole vet bill covered. Thank you for everyone who donated on that. Ting Chabelle, his whole vet bill is taken care of, and we're building up a little now towards getting him neutered. Anyway, if those lower chakras are related to manifesting things in physical reality, and you're not connected to them, and you spend all your time in your head, then that, I would think, could be a problem. And I don't really know what to do about that, except do more meditations and focus on getting an inner sense of awareness all the way down to your feet and then below your feet. But we'll see. I'll let you know how it goes. Those are just some things that have been up for me this week that I believe have a lot to do with water. Maybe that's it, Angela. I'm a hardcore introvert. And maybe that's part of where that comes from, that I don't feel very aware. And I wasn't aware that I wasn't aware. Surgeries disrupt the energy grid, seeing the grid lines as a whole. Okay, I can do that. It was just funny to me, like, oh my gosh, I'm aware that I'm unaware. We'll see where that goes. Anyway, let's get back to the actual subject. But water reminds me of that. I use the image of water a lot when I'm reaching into areas that feel congested. Breathing light into a congested area feels like, whoops, you okay? It feels like waves of water that look like light. Toddlers are so easy to entertain. She has a piece of cellophane that she's throwing and the wind's catching it. She's chasing it all over the yard. They're going to take a great nap. Gigi loves it when they take long naps. I sleep with them. Okay, so Byron K, keeping you guys on here forever. 78. Therefore the master remains serene in the midst of sorrow. Evil cannot enter her heart. And because she has given up helping, she is people's greatest help. That's a really big one. Don't try to help people. Help yourself. It's a good idea. I think the wind may have blown it over. The wind blew it over on the other side of their fence. Do you hear her? She's saying, "Where are you? Where are you?" It's gone. She didn't see the wind catch it. We're not going to tell her. Where are you? They're so cute today. The awakened mind is like water. Ashlyn. It's Ashlyn. She's running all over the yard now saying, "Where are you?" The awakened mind is like water. It flows where it flows, envelops all things in its path. It doesn't try to change anything. Yet in its steadiness, all things change. It goes in and out, around and over, above and below, and without meaning to, and I would say without trying, it penetrates wherever it can. It delights in its own movement and in everything that allows or doesn't allow it, but eventually everything allows it. An old friend perceives me as unkind. He has all the proof, and though I'm not the person he knew 25 or 30 years ago, he must continue to project his experiences of the old me onto the woman in front of him now. For the last 20 years, he has continued to meet that woman of his thoughts, yet the woman of today is like water. I don't move back, I don't avoid, I don't attempt to change his mind, I don't defend or qualify. I listen to him as a student while he tells his story of me. I continue to flow in and out, over and under and around, always listening, looking into his eyes and loving him. And today, for the first time, I noticed that when he talked about me, he seemed lighthearted and trusting. As we walked to the park, he took my hand. We sat under a tree, and he told me what was going on in his inner life. It was such an intimate conversation. He seemed to have caught up to me, as if he were seeing and responding to something other than his old projection. It was as if I were watching myself reborn in him, and he was sitting with someone we both knew, a friend. I got to hear about his sorrow and his happiness rather than about the woman who didn't exist, the one who had caused his problems. There was a lot to laugh about this time, and I sat with two of us who were like water, flowing together, joined as one. It wasn't the water that had changed, it was the rock. And in that change, water continues to flow. At the beginning, in 1986, I felt a lot of surprise that people were confused about what I was trying to express. That they believed that the separations they saw for real were real. This went on for about a year. I would cry a lot. It was like dying. The tears were tears of amazement that people didn't understand that all their suffering is imagined. I was moved by their innocence. It was like watching babies hurting themselves, like watching the innocent cut themselves with knives with no possibility that they could stop. I didn't dare say this is unnecessary, because that would have been just another dagger in them. As always, the tears were tears of wonder and gratitude. I remember the first time someone brought me a cup of tea, I just melted with the splendor of it all. The man poured the tea and my eyes overflowed like the tea he was pouring. It was so beautiful and there was such generosity in it. No one could understand why I was sobbing. They all thought I was sad. There was no way I could explain how moved I was and that it was gratitude that was pouring out of me. The Master has given up helping because she knows there is no one to help. And since she loves and understands her own nature, she realizes that in every action she is serving herself and sitting at her own feet. So there is nothing she gives that she doesn't receive in the same motion as the same internal experience. Even when she appears not to give, that is what she is giving. The Master is the woman who dented your car, the man who stepped in front of you online at the supermarket, the old friend who accused you of being selfish and unkind. Do you love the Master yet? There's no peace until you do. This is your work, the only work, the work of the Master. The hardest thing in the world is to love the person who dented your car or the one who steps in front of you in line. It's really, really hard. And yet, if you're approaching that, if you catch yourself in the moment and remind yourself that it's just another extension of the same source that animates your body, and the same organizing principle that makes the whole thing work, then it's hard to stay mad at them. Or at a minimum, you have the mad part and you have the awareness at the same time that it's just you. It's just all you. And it can be a little hard to carry that kind of duality in your head for very long. Yeah, it was good. That was a good one. But when you can, it really is beautiful. And it's definitely brought me to tears more than once when you have that sudden realization, and it can happen anywhere, that it's all just one. And it's all okay. At the root of it all, it's all okay. When you get hit by that, for me anyway, it always makes me cry. It always does. Yeah. Sometimes that'll happen at church or some sort of religious ceremony. Sometimes I get inappropriate laugh response when that hits me because it's just all kind of funny. And I certainly don't live that. What is that about? I certainly don't live it every day. But it's nice when those moments come, and it's nice to remember them because those are the touchstone memories that you can draw on when something horrible is happening. Like your sister probably took your book. What are you crying for? Why are you crying? Did sister take your keyboard? Did sister take your keyboard? I think we're probably done. I think we're probably done for the day. What do you think? You need attention? You've been so quiet. You've been so quiet this time. You let us get through all 3 books. Quiet? Well, you too. You were quiet too. Yeah. That's good today. Can you say, girls, can you say goodbye? Bye-bye. 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 Can you say bye-bye, Avery?
No! No!
She says die-die still, which is hilarious. Bye-bye.
Oh, not E-I-O.
E-I-E-I-O. She's singing Old MacDonald. Yeah, it's only Ashlyn that says bye-bye. Avery still says die. Die-die. So, anyway, there you have it. Think on those things today. And just do a self-assessment and find out how aware of your lower body you are, your lower body energy. And then, if you're still looking outside for change, rather than asking for help changing what's on the inside. You're welcome. Oh, Ashley said no. She likes that word a lot. All right, ladies, and if there's any gentlemen watching, and tell Ben happy birthday for me yesterday. I left a Facebook comment, but I know he's not on there. I'm glad you did too, Angela. Thanks for stopping by, you guys. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
She's mimicking everything I say. And I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye, everybody.